Be good to go now.
Just give it a
Technical.
second for it to
Oh,
start.
okay.
All right, you should be good to start.
Okay, I'll put in oh, thank you for joining. Let me just bring the image back up on the screen for anybody who joined late. Mm, Okay, this is the horse that we will be sketching today. So again, just a couple minutes to screenshot, take pictures of the horse that we'll be working on. Last time we worked on our chess pieces, and they turned out to be pretty good with all the shading and the value of the light and dark um, graphite that we used. So hopefully this will also turn out well. Okay, so what first I'm going to do is map out where I want my horse to be on the page. So roughly in the center, it's going to take up the majority of the space on the paper. Okay. So first, what we're gonna do, we're gonna start with the shapes. Oh, so very light-handed, we're gonna do a circle, kind of above the center of our page. So somewhere right here, and kind of building up on it. Then next, what we're gonna do is we're gonna draw a triangle just right here above, almost like a top hat of some kind. Again, all very light-handed. So now that we have drawn our circle, a rough sketch of it, not a perfect circle, but just kind of to place where we want the head of the horse will be, and then kind of the top part of it where it will also have the ears and the mane, just roughly right here, almost taking up until the end of the page, just kind of left an inch. Now, what we will do is we will create kind of the mouth portion, the snout of it. So with that, it's also like a triangle, but very rounded and not closed off. So I'll sketch it first to kind of show you what I mean. So it's almost actually kind of like a V shape, not really touching our circle. It's okay if it does, but kind of just acting like a marker of where that like nose and mouth will be. So I'll give you a couple of seconds to kind of roughly sketch and adjust. Sorry for the camera switch. I just realized that it was upside down. So hopefully now it's easier to follow along with kind of the art tutorial. Okay. So now that we have a rough guideline, we can go ahead and do further edits. So I went ahead and made my circle a bit bigger. So now I'm going to go ahead and make some edits on this bottom part. Um, I feel like it's a bit too small for the head. Um, so what I will do is kind of roughly make it wider. And right now it looks kind of messy, but don't worry, we'll erase all these guidelines. And now what we'll do is give this horse a neck to support it. So with that, what I will do is draw a triangle and making sure that it's big enough to support the head. So just starting kind of at our other triangle. So from this point right here, we'll go down kind of, a rough straight line. Doesn't have to be perfect. And then making that isosceles triangle. So roughly you can see how it's coming along. We have the head where the eyes and the lashes will be and the most expression will come out of. And then we have where the nose and mouth will be. And then we have the neck to support both parts and also where the mane will be. And then now focusing our attention on the top part of our horse. But I'll give you a couple of minutes to kind of make any edits and revising your sketch lines. So now we'll refocus our attention on the top part of our horse. Because we made the bottom bigger and we made the head bigger, we'll also have to make this top part a little bit bigger to kind of be cohesive with the entire horse. So what I will do is kind of make it more pointed at the top. And wide at the base. So we almost kind of have a cone shape for the head. And it looks a little bit funny now, but it will all come together later as we delete and erase any of the guidelines and the rough sketches. So now we will begin to map out where the parts of this horse go on here. So I roughly want to go around here. Consider this kind of the center. So I'll draw a line right here. And then from there, I'll draw a line going this way. So almost connecting them because our horse isn't looking straight forward, like a front view or a side view. It's kind of 3/4. So this is kind of the way the head of the horse is tilted. So I'll just give you a couple of seconds to make that guideline. Now I will add the other guidelines. So I added this one. I kind of want to add one right here to kind of denote where the eye will be. So the eye will be somewhere. Oh, so somewhere along this line will be the eyes. And for the eyes, I'm just putting a circle. It will become a detailed and more expressive eye once we kind of work on it. So again, this is kind of where I want the eyes to be. And I'm not necessarily making the lines straight. I'm giving it a slight bend to kind of show that the horse isn't looking either at the front or at the side. And now I'm dragging the line all the way to the end and making it drop. And now I'll add my other guidelines. So I'll have one just over here. Again, we're kind of crossing into that top part. We're making those guidelines go all the way to the top and kind of drop to the bottom. So they're kind of parallel to each other, but not quite. They don't really mirror one another. For this line, it's kind of straight or as straight as it can make it. And then also dropping right here. So adding that guideline. This is roughly where I want my snout, the nose, nostrils to be. And because this is roughly where I want my eye to be, the bottom of it, I'll kind of add a line to kind of denote that this is where it ends. And now I'll kind of start the cleanup process. So I'll just grab an eraser and kind of get rid of these lines over here. And get rid of these lines over here as well. And get rid of these ones over here. So we're not quite committing to anything yet. All our lines are still very light-handed and just sketch-like. There isn't any line work quite yet, but we're just cleaning up the work area. And then now I'll clean the top. So just that bottom line of the triangle. So again, still very rough, but we're getting there slowly but surely. Then I'll get rid of this line right here. So we're slowly kind of merging um, the shapes together. So I haven't gotten rid of that triangle completely, just this side right here. Give you a couple of seconds to catch up. I'll also erase this line right over here, kind of merging that top triangle with the top of the circle. Now, we'll kind of slowly construct our horse. I'll place two ovals right here at the top of the horse, kind of to add the ears that we'll be working on. So the two ovals right here, they kind of go over top of our triangle, but don't worry, again, just like how we erase those other lines, we'll also erase the lines in the center as well. But let's begin working on the neck. It should be simple. The neck is thick, so we'll be building up on top of that. So this line stays. Oh, so this line stays. And what we'll do is connect right here. And this line will stay, but we will kind of build up from it and kind of go off the page. Okay. So now that this neck is kind of being built with the strong neck muscles that we're kind of sketching, because these lines will stay and they will kind of give that illusion with the depth because we don't want our horse to be 2D. So this neck will stay. So that means now we have to chisel and make the jawline sharp for the horse. So what we will do is straighten out that line. So notice how it's a bit kind of curvy almost. What we'll do is kind of slim it down. So something along the lines of this. So we kind of cut it. So then we will get rid of this line once we draw our draw line. What I'll do is also following that circle that we initially placed down, that first circle that we had, I'll kind of create um, that big cheeks that those horses have. So with that, what we have placed down for the face so far is the cheeks and the jawline. Okay. So now, with our horse slowly coming along, what we will do is kind of repeat the same process, the same steps that we did for creating that sharp line, and do it on the opposite end. So we did a sharp line here, we'll do a sharp line here. Making sure that we keep this line long because we don't want it to kind of look like almost like a dog's snout. We want it to look like a horse. So make sure that it's proportional. So with that, we'll kind of keep these lines a bit longer than one another. So this one I will make longer. Kind of go on to this. Give me 1 second. Okay. So I'll follow the outer line. That one I will keep. And this inside line that I initially placed but want to get rid of, I will erase. The reason why we keep our rough lines and then create better lines, then erase the first lines that we did, is to kind of see what we want to adjust. So if we erase the lines that we didn't like and then just drew on top of them, um, we will kind of be in a trial and error process. Whereas if I see where I went wrong and then I adjust it to my liking and then erase the one I don't want to keep, it will kind of be um, better for us in terms of time. So now that I kept these two lines, I need to work on the bottom, the mouth. So I'll kind of give you a couple of seconds to sharpen these lines to make them dark and commit to them. And then erase any of the rough lines that are in the horse. And then we'll work on the mouth and nostrils. Okay. Now that we have done those lines, how we will connect them is by making this part almost curvy. So I'll show you what I'm talking about. So it has a slight bend. I'm not quite sure if you can see this. So a straight line and then a slight bend. And then from there, I'll connect it. So notice how it's almost on top of it. So this was initially the shape that we first placed. And now we're building up on top of it. While you're making the edits, I'll bring in our reference image to kind of see if we are on track. So this right here, we're slowly working on. I think roughly kind of looks like it. It's getting there. Now that we revisited our initial reference picture, we'll go back into the sketching. So now what we will do is continue. So here I'll extend this line to kind of show where the mouth is and then where the jaw is. And now from here, we'll work our way to the eye. The mouth is not complete, but we'll kind of chisel away step by step. And from our circle, what we will create is a line that connects both that guideline, that bottom line, and then that top line. Now, what we will do is slightly round the corners. And erase that top part of the circle. So our eye for the horse should almost look like a diamond or like an almond. And we still keep those previous shapes of the circle, but erase the top part of it and anything that kind of spills out. Then now going back to the nose part, what we will do is draw an oval. So this oval goes over and goes through our line, and then touches the bottom of this line and the top of this line. So once we placed this one over here, what we will do is go over to the top of the horse and finally kind of merge and connect. So I'm not drawing a straight line and connecting it. What I will do is kind of go outwards. So this part of the circle that we initially drew, I'll kind of go towards it. And then I'll follow the rest of the circle. So this leaves space for the second eye. So I'll kind of give you a couple of seconds to connect it. So again, when connecting the snout to the top of the head, what we're going to do is draw that line towards the circle and then following it. Now, what we'll do is draw roughly where the second eye should be. So now that I kind of placed where I want it to be, what I will do is erase the initial line and kind of merge them together. Now we'll work on the snout. So notice how I slimmed it. So we'll kind of just do something like that. And we'll erase the outside guideline of the circle. So we're slowly making our way into erasing all the initial shapes, the first shapes that we placed. So now what we will do is we will go from this initial line that we placed, that sharp jawline, and kind of make it our mouth. Kind of roughly placing it. And now erasing this line as well. And this line as well. So we're slowly cleaning up all the messy lines that we've left behind. If we drew with a light hand, just for sketching, it wouldn't leave any marks. Erasing this one as well. So now focusing back on the eye, what I will do is kind of draw that um, tear duct. Just kind of place it over here. And now we will draw the folds of the eye. So again, where my line ended, I'll kind of draw a slight curve, very light-handed. And then I'll also draw a fold. So it's kind of like a bracket. So it's just like a curve, not quite connecting to anything, just on top of the eye. And now what I will do is continue with the eye. So I will also kind of make that horse have a little bit of darkness in the eye. So I'll add my highlight point over here. So kind of drew a circle and I'll fill the rest of this in. So I'll kind of show you what I'm talking about. I'm very lightly filling it in case I don't like the placement of the eye and I want to move things around. So I'm not quite ready to commit to the placement. And what I'm doing is I'm going from that corner eye and kind of drawing any muscles or um, skin folds that might occur. Now I'll go back to this part of the horse and I'll draw my line straight across and then downturned. And this is for the horse's like equipment that was on its mouth. And with roughly 30 minutes till the end of this class, um, what I will do is kind of carry on anything that we don't get done in to the next class. But so far, we're making great progress. So I assume the rest will be just shading work and any finalized line work. So right now, we're still kind of making basic progress. So again, trying to keep the lines the same thickness and width. So our horse so far kind of looks two-dimensional and incomplete, but as we work on this, it will come along better. So as I'm working on the drawing, I'm making some edits, slight changes. Like I want the nose to be bigger. Maybe I placed it a little bit too high. Um, so kind of just make that rough edits as you're working along to kind of gauge what you want or don't want to keep. So what I'm doing right now is adding the nose folds and kind of the mouth folds of the horse. So again, we kind of kept those guidelines to help us of where things should go. So kind of use them. Now I'll erase this line over here. Add some shading as we're going along. I'll erase this part over here. And to fix up the bottom lip as well. So now what we'll do is add the nose fold. So with our oval being here, I'll kind of go just kind of right above it and make a fold. And I'll make it big to kind of show it's like a big nose flare that the horse is doing. And then I'll add some shading over here. And kind of slowly fill in the hole of the nostril. And then now that it's filled, what I'll do is erase that line that I had going down. I'll erase this one as well. So erase the guidelines on the nose. I'll kind of slowly chip our way at the eyes, refocusing our attention back at them. Or actually, we'll kind of do the ears because we still left the basic shape for them. So for the ears, what I will do is I'll keep this curvy line and then kind of make it almost like a V. And then I'll draw it back at the bottom. Let's see. So I just made the top a little bit narrower. And then the base a bit wider. And then now I'm cleaning up that oval where it used to be. So it kind of almost looks like a horn, but once we add all the fluff and shading, it'll start to look like an ear. And then what I'll also do is kind of mirror this, but flip it. So it kind of look like two horns, but really they're ears. And then erasing our oval. And now erasing the inside line. So the ear should look something a little like this. The same for this one as well, erasing our triangle. And kind of widening it out. And now what I'll do is kind of make that arch and erase this triangle. Yeah. So our horse right now looks kind of very hairless and the equipment is unfinished, but we're just around that finish line. So let's kind of make our way. Okay. So what we will do is kind of still focusing our attention now on the neck. So I'm committing to those lines that I had placed. Kind of making that gap by erasing any lines. And now that straight line that I had, what I'm going to do is bend it and then erase. Still a very strong jawline that we're choosing to keep. Then from there, I'll erase this line. And then for the bottom, it's going to be very dark. That's like for the shadow of the jawline. So kind of shade it as you go. So where that line was, I'm just kind of going over it um, very lightly with my pencil. And also on this side as well. So I'm leaving this space to kind of highlight it. And then over here, I'm doing repeated motions to darken the jawline. So right now it's unblended, but as we go along, we'll kind of smooth everything out and making sure everything has a nice transition. Over here for this line as well, what I'll do is kind of the same process, just very lightly shading it and then erasing this line. So roughly 20 minutes remain, and we still need to add the mane and the finalizing details and fix our eye and then draw the other eye. So what we will do, focusing on this eye, although we don't see it, what we can do is add kind of the lid space that it would take up. So again, kind of curve and then go back into that skull that we kind of drew the triangle for. And then making sure that it lines up with our other eye, erasing this guideline as well. Not sure if it picked up on camera, but kind of um, I drew a curve at the bottom to kind of show that there is an eye, and then this is the lid space. And then also drawing the upper lashes. Very lightly. So now we'll work on the ears before we fix up our eye. So with our ear, what we'll do is kind of follow that curve. So it's almost like an ear within an ear. And then lightly draw lines upwards to kind of shade, and then lightly draw and sketch some lines inwards. To kind of show the dark crevices and folds of the ear. The same goes for this one, following the shape. Making some adjustments. And then for this ear, actually, we'll kind of draw a straight line, kind of following the curve, but still repeating the process of shading. And then now we'll add the details of the mane. So what I'll do is very lightly close off that ear, go kind of where the eyebrow space would be, and kind of draw that downward side bang. So roughly something like this. And then what we'll do is kind of make that side part. So we'll add a little bang over here as well. So it's slowly, our bald horse is slowly starting to look like a cute horse. So again, very lightly, I'm drawing those lines. And then with a solid line kind of going upwards. And I'll erase the line that kind of goes through our hair. So all of it is very flat. There's roughly almost no shading. And we'll kind of get to that later. But first, we're kind of focusing on drawing the horse, making sure that our shapes make sure it looks like a horse. And then now what we'll do is kind of repeat these two bangs on this side. So still, we're drawing very faint lines. And it kind of disappears. So very light lines, because this side of the face will do a lot of the shading and it will get really dark. Also on this side of the face as well. And then we'll erase this guideline as well. Roughly adding the muscle lines for the face to kind of help pick up where we left off next class. And just marking where the dark lines I want to be. So I'll also work on the bottom of the nose fold as we're finishing the basics of our horse. And I'll erase the eye guidelines. I'll erase this as well. And then I'll draw a line kind of just around here. Kind of making sure that it's kind of organic and not really geometric. So it's not the straightest line I could draw. And that's fine. And then also drawing a line on this side, kind of connecting the both, almost looking like an H. And this will be the part of our horse's equipment. So for this one, we'll also do, for the remaining 10 minutes, is kind of marking where the rest of the stuff that we need to pick up will be. So we need to continue working on the horse equipment and the eyes, and then the shading, and the mane. So not a lot of stuff, but some stuff that we cannot get done in the next 10 minutes. But we'll try to work on as much as possible. So with that being said, erasing this line as well. And erasing this line as well. Give you guys some time to catch up. So this would be the last 9 minutes. So I'm just gonna say that this is part one of two. So there is going to have to be a second part where we finish up and make sure that the horse does not look flat. So I'll give you a couple of minutes to use these last 9 minutes as a time to kind of catch up of on the ears, on the jawline, on this eye, on this part of the mouth. And then I'll kind of see you next time, next class, which I believe would be in July.
We still have the class for next week. No summer, eh? Teacher.
Oh, hi.
Then we still have the course class for the next week. No summer, no summer break, right? No summer break.
I don't think there's a summer break. I think it goes until August 18th.
Okay, until August 16th. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Let me take the picture for the horse.
Do you also want the reference picture?
Yes.
Okay, let me bring it up for you.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Here is the reference picture for the horse.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
So as you can see, it's like slowly coming along. We're not quite done yet. There's still some shading that needs to be done. The eye needs to be a little bit more rounder and darker. And then also the kind of equipment on the side of the horse. The hair, we still need to kind of get done. And then this is what I was talking about with the dark, sharp jawline. And then the nostrils, again, a lot of simple shading that we kind of can't get to right now, but we'll be able to get to next class. I'm happy with our progress. We kind of did some good work for the time that we had. If you are able to show your progress of what you have so far, I'd like to see what it is to kind of see if we should continue with this. or if you guys are done and I'm just behind.
Oh, I just like that. It's right?
Oh, Christina, I love it. Yeah, I see some.
Yeah, how about
Yeah.
that?
Bettina, I love it as well.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. You guys were tracking along, no problem. Yeah. So are you guys comfortable with another class to kind of finish it up?
Okay. Then
Yeah. To kind of keep working on the horse. Other than that, Addie, I love it as well. Other than that, yeah, there's 5 minutes left. So yeah, Wilson, I love it as well. So yeah, when we go to the next class, we'll finish up this horse. And if we have time from that second class, we'll kind of get started on something else. But I feel like, yeah, no, we're almost done. That's pretty good. Thank you guys for working on it. Hopefully, it wasn't too slow or too fast. Um, yeah, that's pretty much it for the last 4 minutes. If you have any questions or comments or concerns, feel free to ask me any of them.
okay, thank you. See you next week.
Yeah, see you next week. We'll continue
you.
on the horse. See you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
I think you could stop the recording. Did Dax say he was gonna come back?
He did say he was going to come back, but if not, I can just end the call.
Okay.
Yeah. I also don't think I can end the live stream unless it's